some time.
About 5 gallons a day.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone, especially with this time right here, everyone needs to be drinking as much water as they can because the ancestral energy is super high, and you know, I'm gonna if there's some noise in your background, go ahead and star 6, and then star 6 again if you whenever you're ready to speak. Is yeah, it's the energies are really they're going all the way back up from the Great Shutdown. That's what I call it, the Great Shutdown that happened October 8th and 9th. We were all feeling the pull of the Great Shutdown. The Great Shutdown is the end of that other system, and the beginning of our grand rising. It was not the beginning because we've been rising the whole time, but the beginning of all that, of our return. That part right there. Okay. So hang on for just a moment.
Ollie Kendrick Bay, New Jersey Territory.
Islam, welcome, Empress. So we'll say the same thing that we said last night, just in case, or at our meeting the other day. There's a couple of that are coming up on the sound meter. I'm gonna it's a little bit of background noise, so I'm gonna put just a couple of them on mute, just in case. So I'll say the same thing that I said yesterday, just in case, for those who did not hear yesterday's meeting, that on October 8th and 9th, I'm calling it the Great Shutdown, because that's really kind of what it is. The end of the old and the beginning of the new era. It's been an ongoing process, but October 8th and 9th was it was a pivotal point in all that we're in the Grand Rising, as well as the stoppage of that whole corporate system. And a lot of the heirs were feeling that energetic pull from that. And, you know, the energetic pull feels like being tired. It feels like you're tired. It also feels like, you know, it's just an energy pull. And the energy pull for us was that we were still semi-connected. You know, when you're connected to a system and you disconnect from that system, you can still feel some of the effects of the previous energetically until that energy breaks, you know. And that's what we've been feeling. And I can tell you, just by the way this call started, before I came on, the Moors who were on before I came on, that energetic pull is finished, it's done. Our energies, we can all feel this, you know, the Moors here on the call talking about their pineal glands itching and vibrating and all of that. This beautiful commentary coming from the airs. That energy has, we're in full flight in terms of the Grand Rising, full flight.
Recording.
It's not it's not it's not as much of a fight as it was before. You know, for about the first 2 or 3 years, it felt like a fight, you know, to continue to stand, and it's not.
Hey, Pauline, what the fuck happened to Delilah?
And it's not going to feel that way anymore. It's going to feel like, okay, now we can move forward. That's what it feels like, because that's the truth. So let me make sure I mute him. So the thing that I wanted to speak on, for starters, is the ancient English for just a moment. Now that we're using ancient English, and we know we're using it because we've been using it the whole time, it's just that we did not know that we were speaking ancient English and they were speaking corporate English. Phonetically, it sounds the same, but it's not the same coming from the sovereign heirs, because we're speaking a living English, and they were speaking a dead.
How come you're deleting all your comments on YouTube?
So when they're speaking a dead language, they are not. They're not speaking to us at all. So that's why a lot of us thought previously that they were saying our sovereign appellations, but they were not. They were saying dead corpse. They were speaking to dead corpse. We have found out, and I found out recently, that there are over 200 versions or dialects of English. Every other nation and every other indigenous nation has a version of English that they speak. And we were the only ones that were still thinking we were speaking corporate English. But in reality, we've always been speaking ancient English. The spelling is different with ancient English, and the pronunciation is the same. It sounds the same. So even whenever people like the Pope, the fake Pope, the one who was previously doing business as a Pope, when he would speak, and it sounded like he was speaking English, but he was not speaking our sovereign ancient English. He was speaking a corporate English. And his didn't even sound phonetically the same because of his quote-unquote accent. But that goes for anyone that you hear. Sometimes you'll hear, we would hear people doing business as presidents, you know, of other corporate fiction nations speaking English. They were not speaking anything other than corporate English, which even from their perspective was a bastardization of ancient English. And so all of the nations of the earth can speak English. It's just which version of English are they speaking? The indigenous people have always spoken ancient English. The dialects sound different. They sound different, sort of, but not really. So every other language and dialect has an English counterpart. And it's not even a counterpart, because counterpart indicates that it's against each other. They're not against each other. They work together. And we instructed the subjects to go all over the earth and teach everyone English. So they taught them they taught the corporate fiction, corporate English, and the indigenous have always spoken ancient English or any other dialect of English. And they spell theirs differently, but as I'm learning who speaks which dialect of English, I'm seeing that the ancient English spellings that we're using here, they use them already, which to me is just amazing because we did not know that previously. That when we started changing the spellings and not using corporate English, we didn't know then that everyone, all of the other indigenous nations know English in some form, in some dialect. And now we are in alignment with what they are doing and what they've been doing because they just held that information for us, which is, to me, amazing because we didn't have anyone that told us, other than the ancestors, to start changing the spelling. You know, the ancestors told us.
You're a fucking fraud, Pauline.
And then the ancestors told us to do it, and then when we did it, we were finding out after doing that demonstration that it is that we are now back in alignment with all the other indigenous nations of the earth with our ancient English. They've always spelled differently. If you go down to the islands or you go over the water, across the water, and you see how they write in English, they will be spelling the same way that our ancient English spellings are done. And to include the Vatican, because the Vatican is ours. That's not a corporate thing. There was a corporate covering put over it, just like there was a corporate covering put over everything here. But once the corporate covering is removed, it's returned, and the estate is, there is reversion of estate that has happened, and all of that belongs to us. And speaking of the Vatican and that whole Christianity piece, and right at this point I'm talking about corporate Christianity and not the Christianity that we gave them so that they could worship us properly, because that's actually where Christianity came from. We came up with that and gave it to the subjects so that they could use it to worship their creator. And we all know who created them. We did. So their plans for us, if we hadn't awakened, and I think this is just amazing, their plans for us was they were going, if we had not awakened the way that we have now, and excuse the sunlight, there's a lot of sunlight coming in this door that's in front of me. But if we had not awakened, they would have done what they called discipling the nations all over again. That's what they were planning to do. And discipling us would have meant us going all the way back into the fake fraudulent Christianity and them continuing to pretend to be the heirs. That was the plan. I hear it all the time from them. They want a third, what they call a third great awakening, where they disciple us all over again and bring us all the way back into Christianity, because they know that once we come out of that and know that we are God and know that we are their creator, they know that it's over. Everything is over. It's finished. And they're feeling that now. And so it would have either been, this is where we are in terms of that whole discipling the nations. They got that from ancient times where either we discipline ourselves and govern ourselves, or they will discipline or disciple us. That's the plan. That was their plan. It's a wrap now. Can't do it now. Too late. But either we discipline ourselves in terms of coming together, unifying, rising above the pettiness and all of that stuff that they taught the Negro, black, colored, and African American. You know, the ones who when we thought we were that, they taught us divide and conquer and all of that because we taught it to them initially. And either we discipline ourselves or we get discipled. And then they'll have us back on our knees praying to them and their white, quote-unquote, white Jesus. Yes, we can unlock it briefly, yes. And thank you for letting me know. Because I'm going to keep it unlocked as much as possible. But there are some things we need to discuss without our subject coming in like he just did. He sits outside the door and waits to come into the meeting. So their plans were to disciple, quote unquote, disciple us. But we are disciplined enough to govern ourselves, because that's what their idea of government is somebody's going to have to discipline somebody. And either we discipline
I command you,
them,
Pauline,
or they discipline us. See, you have to. That's if we don't put the law on them like we're supposed to, then that kind of madness right there, they'll just be running rampant on our land, like they've been doing. And either we discipline them.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Pauline?
And either we discipline them, or they discipline us. And they'll call it discipling. They will call it that. And they'll have us back in their churches and carrying on, collecting, passing the plate, etc. And having us to turn the other cheek while they do all of the craziness that they do. And either we can discipline ourselves and govern ourselves, and come together like we know we're supposed to. And I'm grateful that we're seeing that we're together. It's now being made very clear that we are one. And I'm grateful for that because you know, no one thought we could do it. No one thought we could do it. No one thought we could do it, but we did it. And that comes from activated pineal glands, etc., where we will do whatever we have to do to stay together. And if there are any misunderstandings or misunderstandings, rather, in our nation, that we will talk about it with each other, among each other, and come to some solution about that. Whatever it is, we'll come to.
You're a cult. You're a fucking cult.
About it. They have no discipline at all, and if we're not unified, then they'll be able to actually split us and divide us, like they were able to do in the corporate setting. And many of us were in the corporate setting, and we saw them split us away from our brothers and sisters and have us talking bad about one another and telling on one another, et cetera, you know, in the corporate setting, you know. so with discipline, okay, discipline is going to mean that we're going to have to lower the egos so that we can talk to one another, so that we can apologize to one another when we offend one another, and so that we can break down the wall that would keep us from talking to one another, picking up the phone and calling one another, you know, and working through whatever it is that we're going through. It is absolutely one. Yes.
Islam. I wanted to camel back on that with a two-hump camel. That we have to get over getting pissed off and staying pissed off. We have to get over taking things personally and recognize that everything that we do, we're doing it to us, not somebody doing it to us. And so we get pissed off, then we say, okay, time to go back to work. You know, kind of like the Wile E. Coyote and that dog. They ring in and go to work, and they beat each other up all day, but they get the work done. You know, they don't let the Roadrunner get a free pass. They're always after Roadrunner. So, you know, we have to work like that. We have to know ourselves and then be ourselves. So you're totally correct with that. And there's no way of escaping the energetic consequences, because those consequences are us. We happen to ourselves and to everything else. Islam.
When we get offended with one another,
what's the problem with your talk show?
When we get offended with one another, it's incumbent upon us to be mature enough, because the reason that the Albions were here in the first place is because they got it in their heads that we're minors and that we cannot govern our own affairs. Well, we're not minors. We're majors. We're the adults, so to speak, in the room. We are that. And it's incumbent upon each one of us to guard our eye gate and guard our ear gate, and don't let a whole bunch of garbage come through, so that we don't have to do so much energy clearing when it comes to our brothers and sisters too. That's important, because if we have a bunch of, you know, Islam. Go ahead, Empress.
I was just introducing myself. I'm Helen Crowder from Carrollton, Mississippi Territory.
Islam. Welcome, Empress. We're glad you're here.
Okay.
Islam.
Yes,
and so we're going to need to close ranks. And when I say close ranks, that means get tighter and closer as a nation, because we're moving to a new level. This is a new era, and we're going to need.
I command you, Pauline. I command.
We're going to need to close ranks and tighten up all that we do, because we're moving forward. We're moving forward, and it's going to be important that we govern ourselves accordingly, And no one else can do that for each one of us. We actually have to, it starts with us doing it for ourselves, you know, is governing ourselves accordingly. Another plan that they had for us, if we had not awakened and been competent when we woke up, is to put us back to sleep. With that whole, the corporate Christianity, and then also to re-implement the Secret Treaty of Verona. The Secret Treaty of Verona, Article 3, talks about the high contracting parties using religion to put us to sleep and make us docile while they did what they did. You know, while they throw people in jail and all of that, the religion kept us out of the street, you know, or kept us from showing up at their doorstep with weaponry. You know, most of us were taught not to do that. And we're not going to show up at their door because they don't have a door, first of all, for us to even show up at. All the doors belong to the air. So we don't have to do that. But they were going to re-implement the Secret Treaty of Verona. And then many of you have heard Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey talk about them wanting to rebond all of the fake birth certificates. That was their plan as well. So they were going to just redo everything that they did in 1913 and 1933. They were going to redo all of that and re-implement all of that. Except this time it would have been a lot worse. A lot worse. If you can even imagine it being any worse than it already was. Where policy enforcers are kicking in doors, you know, left and right, and nothing we can say about it. You know, that's what they were planning, but that's not the case now. And this whole COVID thing, whatever that game plan is, that has happened several times throughout history, where we were about to wake up. And when they realized that we were not going to wake up and govern ourselves, they re-implemented all of that. It happened, the whole mask situation, it happened in 1865. And it went from I believe it was about 1861 to 1865. It took them 5 years, and then they re-implemented all of that corporate stuff. That's where they changed the corporation. I mean, they supposedly went from the republic to a corporation, but again, they can't do that without our consent either. So, you know, but all of that, this whole plan that you see going on right now has happened 2 or 3 times in our history when we were about to wake up. It happened even in 1969. And then they put that whole civil rights piece. They shoved that in our faces to make us march around with that for a while. You know, in the 60s, the late 60s, early 70s. And they fed us that to release the pressure so that we wouldn't do what we're doing now, which is waking all the way up. But they hid a lot of that. Correct. In the chat, yes, Justice Yajurel says submitting people to the corporate pope through paper jurisdiction, nothing new under the sun. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Except this time, enough of us, you, us, woke up competent. And we are demonstrating, even with threat, duress, and coercion seeming to be there, we're demonstrating still and not turning, not giving in. Even where there is seeming threat, duress, and coercion, we're still proclaiming who we are and not backing down. And that's actually what the awakening really is. That's what it really is. Okay, is even under, well, and we're never really under anything, but even with threat, duress, and coercion being seemingly on the table, we're still saying, I don't care what you say, and I don't care what you do. And I don't care how many meetings you come in.
Angel pass by.
We're still, welcome, Empress, we're still going to be ourselves. No matter what you say and no matter what you do, we're going to be ourselves. And even with when they kidnap, and we're not kids, so they can't really do that. But when they attempt to traffic more, and we say, I'm not signing anything, I don't care what you say. That same thing. We don't care about threat, duress, and coercion. We're still going to be ourselves. So no secret treaty of Verona and no re-implementation of that. Those who welcome nobility, welcome. So,
why are you deleting all your YouTube comments, Pauline? Why are you deleting all of your YouTube comments, Pauline?
So, the things that these Albions are, their job at this point is to try and deter as many of us as possible from hearing the truth and from unifying with one another. Okay, so we're not worried about it, not at all. In fact, it's funny to me because I know that we're awake this time. This time we win. We already won. And then when you talk about the whole vaccine situation,
I command you to lock your call.
I found out recently.
I command you, Pauline. I command you to lock your call.
I found out recently that the vaccine that they have put out there, or that they were seeking to develop, is actually one that would attempt to turn off our pineal gland.
I command you, Pauline, you're not listening.
Okay. The vaccine would have attempted to separate us from knowing our divinity. It would target a specific portion of the mind so that we would not know our divinity. That's what they had.
Welcome all cult members.
If we had not awakened when we did. And if we hadn't awakened peacefully. And if we hadn't awakened
Did you piss off Delilah? What happened to Delilah, Pauline? Did you piss her off? Or did you two have a falling out? Where's Delilah? Come on, Pauline. I command you.
Let me find him.
Tell me, Pauline, where is Delilah? What happened to her? Did you pay your taxes on 314th place? What's the matter, Pauline?
Okay, there it is. So we're at a point now where we have superseded all corporate activities. And all we have to do is continue to supersede, continue to stand, and stand together. That's it. That is the part that we must do. So they had a whole, it's like a whole recipe for shutting everything that we were doing all the way down if enough of us had not awakened. But as it turns out, more than enough of us are awake. And we recognize their strategies and their little tricks and things. And because we recognize what they're doing, we know how to ignore it and combat. And it's not even a matter of combating, we just keep moving. So I have to congratulate the heirs, our nation. We've come a long, long way. This is the farthest outside of capitalism we have been in our lifetime. We've never been this far outside of it. We've never been outside of those corporate contracts because we didn't know. Some have known about the corporate contracts for a long time. Some have known and didn't say anything. And so we have much, much, much to be grateful for and to celebrate and to look forward to. Our future is very, very, very bright. It's very bright. Do we have a lot of work to do? Yes, we do. We have a lot of work to do. And the work that we have to do has everything to do with sovereign commerce. We are setting up our moorishe police, our wazirs and walis, etc. One of the things that, one of the visions, and it's not a vision, it's actually where we're going, that has been continuously being brought to the forefront is, for example, when Moors have not car accident, but a conveyance incident, an incident with conveyances. Our fear has always been whether it was our fault, so to speak, or not. Our fear has always been when the policy enforcer shows up. What happens after that? Well, when we are in each and every territory, whenever a Moor is involved in a conveyance incident, even if fake policy enforcers show up, the moorishe police should show up at the same time and do their own investigation, starting with everyone stating their name and nationality, and do our investigation of that incident. Because it doesn't really even matter and some don't really care to hear this, but it doesn't matter who's at fault if there is someone on our land who's not properly documented as a subject. If we get into, if there's a conveyance issue, the Moorish police, we should be able to pick up the phone and call the Moorish police, or we can conduct our own investigation right there. Even if we're involved in the situation, we can still investigate it because the sovereign can do that. And we can say, state your name and nationality for the record, and then we can prepare to do court actions and liens on whoever it is that's on our land that is not properly documented. But ideally, we would be able to pick up the phone and call any of our Moorish brothers and sisters and say, there's been an accident, and I got, this is where I am. If you'll come and do a quick investigation, our investigation is very simple. It's very simple. It starts with nationality. Very, very simple. State your name and nationality for the record. And then, you know, subject matter is everything else. Okay? Everything else, you know, with regard to details about the incident and all of that. All of that is subject matter where nationality is concerned. And our courts are the only courts that have the sovereign jurisdiction to deal with any of that. And when you talk about nationality, and we have terminated all corporate contracts, then we have to now come together and deal with, you know, other Moorish conveyance repair places and Moorish sovereign indemnis wazir company, which is our version of insurance. Okay. Yes. In the chat, sovereign Moorish traffic accident investigator. Yes, all of that. All of that. And any more can do that. Any more can do that. All we really need for starters is name and nationality of those involved. Now, that's not a green light for Moors to just do any old thing on our land. We're the nobility, so we're not going to do just any old thing and just be running around, you know, doing 90 in a school zone. You know, we're not, that's not what nobility does, but we have remedy when it comes to conveyance accidents. We are each other's remedy. And we go straight from there and do whatever we need to do with regard to our court and our liens and all of that. And that is how we're going to have to, that's how we're going to have to do, you know, that's how this is our land. It's time for us to move forward in those areas. It's time for us to move forward in those areas in that manner. Any more can come to the scene of an accident and get the name and nationality, or if there's a fake policy enforcer that has us pulled over, that's as bad as any old stick-up man and bandit, highway bandit, pulling one of the heirs over and saying, give me your wallet. So we call for backup. We call the heirs and we say, hey, I'm Moorish Sovereign Police, and I was called here because there seems to be an incident of international proportion because there is diversity of nationality here. You have a different nationality than the heir that's in the conveyance. So why are you even pulling them over? You don't have the authority to do that on our land. I'm the police. We're the law. We're the government. So what is this about? We're going to have to go in that. That's where we're moving to. That's where we're going. And then the great thing about having our own courts and all of that is that everything that scared us about that whole process, we already have it. We already have our own police. We already have our own court. We already have our own everything. And the only thing that we're lacking, and it's not even lacking because we're moving in that direction too, is a jail to put people in. But we have to, that will come, just like courthouses will come. It will come as we continue to stand. So those are not things that we even have to worry about. We need to continue to organize and continue to govern in the manner that we're governing now and continue moving in that direction so that if there is some sovereign incident that happens or some international incident that happens with conveyances and things like that, that we know that we are the law and we are not subject to any of their fakeness and that none of that corporate stuff. And one thing I do know about the corporates is that they will move out of the way when we stand competently in whatever capacity or office that we are operating in. We are the office. We are the office. We're the law office and the government office and the tax office and all of that and the insurance office. Our full faith and credit is in our nation and in ourselves and no one else. And that's where we're going from here. So those who know how to fix conveyances, and those who know how to, who know the inner workings of that whole, that whole scenario, we have to fill those spaces because those spaces are not filled by the corporates where sovereigns are concerned. And the only reason they've been violating in those areas of pretending to be police and pretending to be insurance companies and telling you you need this, their insurance and you need their license and, their driver's license and their registration and all of that is because we were not doing it. Even with the court piece, we don't have to go to their courts for anything. We handle it in our own nation, just like everybody else. Because know that if you go anywhere else, they don't play that corporate stuff. They handle it. And then they stick together where corporates are concerned. They stick together the way the corporates used to stick together, because right now they're a hot mess. But that's our nation, and that's why it's important to be able to get over the pettiness and all of that so that we can assist one another when things happen on our land. You actually have to be able to trust one another. We have to be able to trust one another. Even with our heirs and everything else, We have to be able to trust one another. And we can do that. We've been doing it the whole time anyway. We've been doing it the whole time anyway. But now it's time to put all of that on nuclear speed and high velocity. It's time. Those who are awake, because there are more and more coming. Many of us have kin who are waiting to see if we can unify and come together. They're just sitting in the wings waiting, not saying anything, whereas before they used to think that we were crazy and a little bit loopy. Now they're seeing what this is really all about, because we're unified and we're continuing to unify, because unifying is an ongoing process. It's okay to feel a certain way about your brothers and sisters. It's okay to feel it, but deal with it. Deal with the feelings and keep moving, and know that the nation comes first and that the mission comes first. That, I mean, you know, if we had still been quote unquote Negro black colored, thinking we were Negro black colored and African American, I would be wondering why anybody's even here, because of all the garbage that's out there and all of the, you know, fraudulent, fake, whatever that's going on out there. Islam, I'm unlocking it now. Islam, thank you, Justice Apollo. So right now it is going to be
I command
very,
you, Pauline, lock
very
your fucking call
important
up.
that we continue to unify and come together. And when you hear people saying anything about anyone in your nation, you should stop them. If it's something, you know, that's trashy or that's bringing ugly energy, stop them and say, hold up, if you have a problem with my brother or my sister, go to them. Go to them and talk to them. Pick up the phone and call them.
You're not listening.
You know? Pick up the phone and call them. And talk to them about whatever it is. And see if you can come to a resolution. And don't try to do that when you're angry. Wait until you cool down before you call them. But we are, we're here. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. We stand. And to me, that's exciting. But that just means we got a lot of work to do. We have to work on our own attitudes and egos and all of that stuff. We must discipline ourselves so that no one else attempts to do that. All of the energies are in our favor. Every last one of the energies is in our favor. All of them. All energies are in our favor at this point. When that great shutdown happened about 2 weeks ago, the energies that would move us forward are front and center. We don't have to feel
what
like
the fuck don't you understand, Pauline?
We don't have to feel like we're fighting against the energies to accomplish something. You know, now it's wind beneath your wings type energy. So at this time, anyone, this time that we're in, anything that you want to manifest, you can do it. You can manifest it. With peaceful, competent study and energy, there's nothing that can stop us from manifesting whatever it is that we want to manifest. Nothing at all that's stopping us. I would like to manifest the Moorish police all over our land, because in 1906, that is where we left off. So we're right back at that place where in 1906, the Sultan was going to put 2,400, I believe it is. I'll have to go back and look at the convention at Algeciras, but he was going to put 2,400 Moorish police on the land. And then the whole hypothecation happened. Everything got changed. The Federal Reserve Act kicked in, and all of that. And it didn't really kick in because and our prophet was here at the time trying to stop all of that from happening. And the infiltration happened, Now we're not afraid of infiltration or anything like that because we know it's been here the whole time anyway. We're not afraid of that because truth is not afraid. It's going to stand. Truth is going to stand, period. That's why that's not even on our, we don't even give that a second look when we think that there's some infiltration. Because infiltration can easily be mistaken for incompetence. And in reality, if it's one of us, it's going to be incompetence that causes us to go against our own best interest in our own nation and our own government. That's not even worth it. It's not worth it. It's best that we stick together. And I'm actually, our energies are look at our energies. They're awesome. Our energies are unified. And so unification is happening even by sort of like osmosis or organically. It's happening just because we all see the same thing for our nation and for our government. Yes, in the chat. And you will know them by their fruits. We've all been called all types of crazy names and things like that. The worst one being black. If we can get over that name calling, we can get over anything. If we can get past that piece right there, which we have successfully done, if we can get over them capitalizing and all of that, which we're not mad at them. You don't have to be mad at that which you have overcome and defeated. So, are there any questions, comments with regard to any of the vaccines or the police, the Moorish police? And also know that we are
Don't make me have to keep coming back here and yelling at you, Pauline. Don't make me come back here to command you. I command you to lock this call up forever. I command you, Pauline, lock this call up.
Hang on just a second.
I command you, Pauline. Are you listening? Your stupid moves and your cult are nothing but bullshit, and you're a fucking liar, and you know it. Lock your call up, Pauline.
So what's the lie?
Pauline, lock your call up. What's the lie? What about this energy shift that Pauline said that happened on 8th and 9th? It must have given me more energy, huh? I don't see any difference. The corporate world didn't shut down. That's a fucking lie. You're nothing but bullshit. These people are cult members and you're feeding them a bunch of crap.
Hang on just a second, everyone. Hold on.
Pauline's having an awful hard time with that dashboard tonight. What's the problem, Pauline? You working on your taxes? You working on paying your taxes for 314th place?
Islam.
Why don't you tell these people the truth, Pauline? That this is nothing but a sham. This is an absolute sham. Why don't you tell people the truth?
Islam.
Tell them that you're lying, Pauline. Where's Delilah? What happened to Delilah? What happened to Delilah, Pauline? Where did she go?
It's Milwaukee ZWI 41434605527.
I see him, but
what's the problem,
my
Jeremy?
computer is not.
Poor Pauline's having trouble with her computer tonight. Poor Pauline.
Come on.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep going.
It's just a verification that everything is working like it needs to be, else he wouldn't be wasting time.
Right, because you don't spend all this energy trying to get in and out of the car every week.
Started.
Huh? You sound like you were.
Hold on just a second.
What's the matter, Pauline? Seem to be having an awful lot of trouble tonight.
Anyway, if everyone would focus your energy on peace. My computer is not allowing me to, and it doesn't matter.
Islam, sister, go back out.
Islam, right? Everyone needs to self-mute.
Go out and come back in.
Go out and come back in.
Okay, I'll do that.
I think if everyone would self-mute, that would help stop the echo.
My goodness, look at all the energy.
Just a second. Hang on. Just a moment. Hold on, everybody. Just hang on a second.
You know, I'll bet he had a vestigial tail when he was born, and they cut it out of him, and they say he had an accident.
Just a second. Okay. Just hold on. Okay. Hang on just a second. I got it. Hold on.
By the Pope and the Queen of England. All right?
Hold on for just a second. Hang on just a second. I got it.
Islam.
Okay. All right.
What's the problem, Pauline?
It's working. Hold on. Hold on. There. Yeah, I had my computer. I had to go out and come back in order to stop the noise. Okay. So there, you know, our ability to get over the things that we need to get over and get past as a nation is key. It's key. We govern now. And we've never not been governing, but now more than ever, it's important for us to stand together, stay together, and don't allow anyone to come between us with words, with spells. The only reason that kind of stuff, that, you know, the subjects are the shadow of our lower self, the only reason they come is to cast spells that don't work.
Islam. I just wanted to point out what they're doing, perhaps to shed a little light on our subjects that we're talking about. That is, they know exactly what they're doing. And right now it's working because they get us to start focusing on them. And by him interrupting the meetings, we're distracted, and then we start focusing on them. So then that draws more attention to them. Whereas we have to really practice on trying to stay on a subject other than them in order to create that different reality. I hope that's clear. I yield.
Islam.
Islam. He's no distraction to me.
Islam. So what we were talking about was unity among our nation. That's what we were talking about. And it's not, and thank you for that, Empress Jonaya. Appreciate that. That's the topic. That's the subject that we're talking about right now, is unity in our nation, and us being able to stay together in terms of the spells that are attempting to be cast. You know, again, when we were thinking that we were Negro, Black, Colored, and African American, we cast a lot of spells on ourselves. Now that we're not doing that anymore, we have to maintain that same nobility.
Pauline, I command you to
in that same nobility in our nation and what we're doing. That's what we're talking about, and that we have to continue to. It's an everyday thing. It's a continuous process. Okay. Nation building has to be our focus, because I know some are. I've come in contact with some who their only concern is them and making them and enriching themselves, and we can't. That's not where we're going. As a nation,
I guess you're not quite so powerful, Pauline.
We have to stay focused on nation building. Hold on just a second. We have to stay focused on nation building. And are there any questions or other comments about nation building and the things that they previously did to stop that, but they're not doing, those things don't work anymore.
Pauline, you're not listening.
Okay. Those things don't work anymore. We're focused squarely on building our nation. Any questions, comments, anything you want to add to that?
I command you to lock.
Any,
Islam.
is there anyone who, yes, Islam.
Yeah, I was going to make a suggestion so we can get rid of the riffraff. You know, this might help out the Michigan territory. So the way I see it, you know, the meeting starts at 7, correct?
You're a fucking fraud. You guys are fucking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, okay, the meeting started at 7. All Moors, we need to be more disciplined. If you had to be at a JOB at 7 o'clock, you would be there on time, and you would probably be there early. So what I suggest is everybody be here on time. Give everybody maybe 10 minutes after 7, lock the meeting, and then maybe open it every 30 minutes. But they know if you're not here at 7 o'clock, 7:10 at the latest, you're going to be locked out. So you're going to have to wait a half an hour. You know, we got to get more discipline. How are we going to run a nation if we can't show up to a phone call on time? That's how I see it. We're all adults. Let's carry ourselves accordingly. Islam?
Islam.
I yield.
Islam. Islam. Okay.
Islam.
What the brother's saying is true. I agree. But guess what? This guy, the way he's coming, he's on a mission. So he's going to be early too. So we have to say,
he'll only get to say a few things, and she's quick on that trigger. She's getting faster on that button, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, can I finish now?
Islam.
He was here early.
Yeah, so he's on a mission. Okay, so he's gonna be here early, just like everybody else. And just the thing is, the only way we can get rid of him,
you gotta let it back in.
She can close them out and just block it. Just block it over their first time. Just close it out.
Exactly.
What she been doing all night, man? Been doing all night. It's locking him out.
No,
okay?
But she's not
if everybody's here at 7. If
she's
everybody's
not
here at 7.
the meaning.
Islam,
I'm out. The meaning gotta be different. I don't want to argue.
Islam, we don't need to make this take over the meeting now. Arguing about what to do about it.
That's a simple solution. We all adults. Be here on time.
I agree with that. Islam.
But we need to come up with some kind of solution.
Yes, Islam.
This can get out of hand.
Yeah, can I finish?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Justice Abasi.
From the top, I said from the top. I agree. I thought I said that. Okay? So I wasn't disagreeing with what you were saying, my brother. What I'm saying is this Avion is on a mission too. Too many people who's trying to get to this call. Okay? And they get frustrated and ran out from the call because of the nonsense that's going on. It's an email system. We have to some sort of way get each other and screen the people that comes into our calls, period. And that's the only way you can get the riff-raffs out. This is not going to stop tomorrow, so we got plenty of time to do that. And with that, I yield.
Islam. So, locking and unlocking the meeting is what is the solution. Oops. Just a moment. Yeah, locking and unlocking the meeting is the solution. I get text messages and calls throughout the meeting of Moors who are wanting to get in, and sometimes Moors are in and they get booted out by their own technology, and they want to come back in, and I don't want to make it so that they can't get back in. So the solution is to keep the meeting locked and then periodically unlock it, which is what I've been doing. I try not to lock it though, just because Moors want to come in. So thank you for those comments and suggestions about that. It can be frustrating for some. For others, it's a little bit entertaining, but for some, it's frustrating, and I get it. I get it. So that's a prime example right there, though. This that just happened is a living example of coming to solutions peacefully with one another when there's some infiltration, and how to deal with that infiltration.
Islam, Empress.
That was a living example right there. Yes, Islam.
I was just wondering, reference back on the police piece, yes. Are you familiar with any badges that were used with sheriffs or the bailiffs or whatever that can be instituted with along with this? Is that being looked at?
Ask again, because I didn't hear the whole question.
It was in reference to badges about the policing. I was just curious about any information you might know about past badges or whatever that might be being looked into or needed to be looked into. Having badges.
Yes. So we were given a site, but I don't think that site that was given is going to be able to service to do what we need to have done. What we need to have done is probably going to have it. In fact, I'm sure it's going to have to be done by one of us, by the Moors.
You know, like the
one of the badges.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the badges that goes on our uniform is the seal. I believe it's the seal. Yes, the seal. And we just had the seal redone, and I'll be publishing the seal coming up in the next few days. The new seal.
Yes, ma'am.
That's in all lowercase letters. And then as for the badge, we're still working on that.
Islam.
Do you have any information about that at all?
I was going to
done any research on it.
Going to start on that. Having that background, I wanted to just find out as what was being looked at, and so to make sure it's all one. Heard that video about all the ID cards and all that, so I was just trying to see if we're going to head this off about badges all being just one unified deal.
Yes. Yes, if any of you know of a place where we can order badges and the badges be put in all lowercase letters in red, let us know. And it would be good if we could agree to do the research on that, all of us. Do the research on having badges made so that we're all unified with regard to the Moorish police.
Islam.
Thank you for bringing that awareness as well. We do need that. And then what our uniforms are going to look like in the territory. If you have any suggestions about that, it would be great to hear them. We did receive some drawings of what the uniforms what some of the Moors had in mind as far as our Moorish police uniforms, what they're going to look like. Beautiful drawings, by the way. And any other suggestions with regard to that? Knowing that this has to be done in all the territories. It has to be done in all of them. Because we're having, because those others, the corporate is not, they're not.
Islam.
That's just not for us. Islam, Empress.
Yes, I spoke with a Moor, a noble, who is an ex-policeman. And he's pretty familiar with, I would say, a process of helping training other Moors to be vanguards or marshals or whatever. He is just wanting, I guess, to speak with the Moors to start recruiting, or whatever words you want to use, to start getting them, to start creating the vanguards in each territory. So I also spoke with him about having a conference. I haven't set a date for that, but just wanted to put that out there for anyone that's interested, that are wanting to be vanguards and I guess learn everything that we need to learn in order to get this going. I yield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be a part of the vanguard myself in this territory, and we have to keep pushing forward in that direction. So the next thing on the list is going to be uniformity across the board. Uniformity. And as far as uniforms are concerned, we're still looking to see what that's going to look like as well. But knowing that we're already enforcing the law, we're just going to put it in uniform style. That's the only difference. And it's going to be, and it's being organized in that manner. I would say too, don't wait for others to give you any, don't wait, continue to demonstrate in that area. And I believe that is the one area that will allow the domicile piece to manifest on a much broader basis. The reason that we've not, as a nation, I'm not talking about the one or two, I'm not talking about one or two Moors, I'm talking about all of us. As a nation, the domicile piece has not been fully manifested nationwide is because we don't have our Moorish police in place. We have to get that in place. And each one of us is already that. We're already the law. We're already the government. So it's not even really a matter of who's going to do it. We all have to do it. And then it will be these, those who have been violating where domiciles are concerned won't be so quick to do that. Because we have Moors who can come to the scenes and de-escalate situations, and it's not a thing where we're going to be warring with anyone. We're going to be de-escalating and enforcing the law.
Islam.
I
just wanted to add, I will not be posting it on Facebook. I know that we do have somewhat of a mailing list of most of the Moors that are online right now. So I will be using that list and adding anyone else to it that wants to be on the list. If you're wanting to be on the call and you're not sure if you're on the list, then you should put your name in the chat, and then I can make a record of that. I yield.
Islam. With regard to social media, most of us found one another by way of social media. Most of us have found our nation by social media. So we don't have any problem with social media. We're going to continue to post things there because that's where a lot of our Moors are finding their information. You know.
I understand. Like, I'm just saying that I'm not going to post it on there.
Oh, you know? Yes. Islam, that was not with regard to your meeting. You know, that was not regard to that. That was just in general. In general, we're going to continue to do that. And we understand why some choose not to. We understand that. We understand. And we honor that. One thing that the Albions, you know, those or those who don't really care for us standing up because they've been getting sandwiches from it, they want us to go underground and not be out where everyone can know that we're awake. And that's one thing that has caused our growth, is that we've been so public about everything, you know. So, that being said, are there any other questions or comments about the badges and the uniforms? We're probably going to need some more seamstresses as well at some point. Right now, with regard to uniforms, I'm looking at what's already out there. But at some point, we're going to have to start making our own.
Islam?
And that is Islam.
We'll be having at least, I'll be able to get some information about at least two, possibly three different cities that will be implementing more call on the call of a neighborhood watch, but yes, policing with the locals. And they will be nationalized before they can do any of that.
Correct.
But that will be coming up. That's in the works, and the word has been put out already.
Thank you for that, Justice Jeremore. That is the thing. Anything that a neighborhood watch would do, our Moorish Vanguard will do, and that's. So I'm in agreement and camelbacking on what you're saying, in terms of the duties and responsibilities. You know, it's keeping an eye on where we are and
Islam. Yeah.
And yes.
This is what we were supposed to start doing 3.5 years ago. So there's a way to get it done, and once you start implementing it, then there'll be more information about it, because there'll be models to look at. Islam.
Yeah, and yes, and you know, one thing about us is that now is the time that the things that are being started are actually picking up really well, and so, you know, I don't know what happened. I was not awake 3.5 years ago. But I'm awake now, and I see no reason why we can't just go with all of the things that we
Islam,
that we put forward. Islam.
3.5 years ago, this was going to go, and then of course some things came in to break it up. That is why our reset happened almost 3 years ago in December of 2017. That was kind of the reset that we are on right now, and bypassing the things that were happening at that point, because that was with what you would call the old guard, who were quite entrenched in the things they were doing and wanting to continue the same church services and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a meeting which was called, and this is just people, Moors that are here and listening now to hear it, around 4 years ago, there was at that time being called a grand body meeting. There were many different groups coming together, and were going to start doing things, but then of course the normal agitators got in and started turf battles. And those turf battles actually ended up with a lot of the things that Empress Verdiaci and some of the later Moors had done in the 10s, in actually the 90s and the early 2000s, and that was all supposed to come together, and it would be a good idea for people if he can. He's kind of hard on the things he says, but listen to some of Bobby Hemmett's information from the 90s and the early 2000s, and you'll pretty much understand what was going on. Because he didn't only cuss. He was also dropping major jewels. In fact, whole factories of jewels at the same time. So people could listen to that and hear some things and know that, he didn't get all the things right. Nobody does, except me. Yeah, right. and those are the things that we're working with to deal with things, and sometimes a lot isn't being heard in the open, but that's because some things have to be worked and get to a critical mass, and then it can do things. So I yield.
Well, thank you, Justice Jeremore. These calls are placed on the public record because it is also notification that we're doing what we're doing. That's another reason why we put it out there. It's so that no one can say that they don't know that the Moors are the police and the Moors are the law and the government. So this serves as spoken affidavit and notification that we are the police.
Islam.
So, yes. So from here, we're going to be focusing on, for those who don't know, when we initially started talking about this, we've been looking at older sheriff manuals just to see for processes, because it's going to be important where the domiciles are concerned, that as we claim the domiciles, that we have some protection for that. Okay. How awesome would it be to claim a domicile and then be able to pick up the phone and call the Moorish police if some corporate who's claiming to have interest in the domicile is attempting to do something along those lines. It would be much better to be able to call the Moorish police and have them to come and, or just be the Moorish police on the spot, because that's a lot of times we're already doing that. Where when we're approached by corporate, we're already enforcing the law. We might as well have on a uniform, when we're doing it, so that we continue to speak with one voice. So our uniforms are going to be white unless there is another suggestion. White with, of course, our flag is going to be on there, and most likely the seal of the Moorish nation is going to be on there. And then we will be wearing turbans and fezzes, as whoever chooses to do that. Turbans for those who choose to wear them, and fezzes for those who choose that as part of the uniform. So I ordered one iteration, and it did not turn out the way that I wanted it to turn out. So again, if anyone else has any ideas and you want to bring those forward with regard to what the uniform should look like, for the most part, they're from what I can see, they will look a lot like if you've seen the Nation of Islam's MGT, their MGT teams. Their MGT teams focused on stepping, and uniformity in marching, and our uniforms can look a lot like that as well. They can be like that for the most part, but we'll be wearing turbans, fezzes, white. So, and then there'll be different iterations because, and then we're also we're the sheriff and the police and the military all at once, because in reality that's what they were. I don't even know why they bothered to get different uniforms, because they were all doing the same thing, which is military action where the heirs are concerned. And so now we'll be all of that in one, peacefully, of course. We're not, and that's why war energy is we have to make sure that we don't come with that, so. But again, that's another one of the reasons why we need to continue to unify and things like that, so that when real life things happen, as we continue to move in the direction of policing our estate, that we know how to discuss things and come to some solution. Know how to discuss things and come to solution. That's going to be important as we move forward. Police, our courts, because our police will be the bailiffs and all of that also. So again, once we get this part, it's going to be awesome to get past this point right here, because we didn't get past this point in 1906. And I know we can do it. We're already doing it. That's the thing. So, are there any other questions or comments or suggestions about our police, Moorish police?
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
This is Islam. I just had a question. Did you say you wanted the badges to be 5-star, or could they be pyramid? A pyramid. Well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send Jim.
Not a bad idea.
I don't have your email. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said you said pyramid, right?
Yes. Because I'm gonna send you two websites.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, I'm gonna send you the two websites that does the embezzlement. What do you call it? Embezzlement of the badges to Jim, and then he can send it to you because I don't have yours up right now, but I have his up. Okay.
Okay. Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, it's done. Okay.
And Empress, you have mine. If you put in LIGHT, mine should come up on yours because we've emailed previously.
Okay, but I'm not on that computer. I'm on a different computer.
Oh, Islam.
Okay, Islam. Okay.
Thank you, Empress. I appreciate that. That's not a bad idea to have the pyramid as our badge, because that way we don't want to look exactly like them.
Yes, and I'm gonna get one of the boys to design you a one, and I'll take a picture and send it to your phone with the circle, with the 7 in the middle of the circle, and then the Morse piece left and around the side of the back. We'll send you a copy, okay? So you can look at it.
Islam, thank you, Empress. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. So those who have not read any of the older sheriff manuals, please do so that we can see how all of that works. Because if you notice, when Moors or anyone is being evicted, they have a protocol or a process, and we need to put that process in place for the heirs, so that if we have to, do that where there's unlawful occupation, and we have to remove some unlawful occupiers, then we can do that peacefully and competently. And so we can look at the processes that they use and tailor them to our processes in terms of the order of events. So let's keep looking at that. Let's keep looking at it and manifesting it, and looking at what the uniforms, if you see any uniforms out there or anything out there that we can just all order to get us started, let us know. Because that's what I'm going to be doing, is just looking at what's already out there and ordering something, and taking photos of what's ordered so that we can get it started, okay, in each of the territories. That's going to be the key piece where domiciles are concerned, because domiciles are a major, major component of all of the processes that have been put forward. We have the proper documentation on the public record, but we had no enforcement. And that's why many are homeless, and so, not really homeless, but just domiciled-less. Because we're home. America is our home. This land, Amexem, Al-Marak, ancient Morocco, this is our home. And it's up to us to move forward so that we can make sure that the heirs have safe domiciles.
Islam.
Okay. Islam.
I had an idea of, until we get the uniforms made, of to just have a dark pair of pants and a white shirt, and then maybe have a strip or something across the shoulders, and the Moorish colors, plus the badge and
the flag.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. You know,
I think
doesn't
I
have to
agree.
be a white shirt. Okay.
I agree. Let's get it started. White shirts, white pants, and then if you can get the flag embossed on your white shirt with a white turban or a red turban, let's get it started. Let's start there. Is everyone okay with starting there as a uniform, so that we can go ahead and do what we need to do in terms of getting everyone up to speed on processes and protocols. And I'd love to hear from you. I see some Islams and yeses in the chat. I'd love to hear how you feel about let's get started with white shirts and white pants.
I second.
Islam, but I think we should have the pants with the extra pocket on the side. You know, like down on your upper leg.
The cargo pants. Is that what?
Yeah, exactly, like cargo pants. So that way you can put a pin or a pad there as opposed to in your shirt pocket.
Yes, Islam.
Okay. And plus that, you're welcome.
I agree, Empress. I think that's great. Well, there you have it. We got uniforms now. It was that quick and easy. And then, just like with everything else that we've done, we will improve over time. But let's start with that and get our flags embroidered, sewn on or Velcroed on, or however you want to do that, however you see fit to put the flag on your white shirt. And then, and our turbans, and let's get ready to deliver documents and also get ready to assist one another in all that we do. I will probably be providing me and some of the other Moors will probably be providing the security, and it's not even a matter of probably, we will be providing security for our event that we're having on the 31st. That'll be our first event where Moorish police in this territory will be active. So that came together really quickly. Anybody, and then we can start talking about protocols and putting protocols together for our police and how we do things in terms of we want to put a little bit more attention on the domicile piece, because the Moors don't need to be homeless and not homeless, domicileless. We need to put some energy, some peaceful, sovereign, sincere energy towards the process that we'll be using where domiciles are concerned and where conveyance incidences are concerned. Okay? And then this time next week, we'll come with some protocols. And just remind me throughout the week, for those that that usually text me and about our calls and things, remind me throughout the week. And then if you have any protocols or processes with regard to this process, the domicile piece, please let me know, and we'll talk about it on the call next week. It'll be on the Sunday meeting or the Thursday meeting, because we can talk about everything on either one of those meetings. Because, we can take an hour to talk, or 30 minutes to talk about one and 30 minutes to talk about something else. So, white shirt, white pants with our flag on it. And for shoes, we'll be looking at something like combat boots or something like that. But we'll see. Whatever shoe is comfortable for you. And the turban. Islam. And with that, I think that's all we have for this week, or for this call. Justice Abasi, were you going to say something?
No. Is I'm open?
Yes, you're open. You're on. You have the floor. Justice.
No. That was a mistake, is all. I wasn't trying to say anything.
Oh, okay. All right. So that is what Islam.
I just wanted to ask, how are things going at the post office in your territory?
It's going well in terms of our post office because this is our post office.
Right.
This domicile is we're all, and in reality, we're all the postmaster. But for this territory, I'm just putting things together in terms of the whole banking piece because the post office is the bank also. And that's the part that we're working on right now. We're finding out some awesome information. Some of it we talked about last week, but even since the call on Sunday, more information has come through on our banking, on the banking piece and our instruments and how to how to make it so that we can use those instruments even down at the local wherever, And it is analog banking. Analog banking is dialing things back, and it's less digital and more manual, but the systems still work. So that's a part of the post office piece as well, and that's actually the main function of the post office is finance. So it's going really well. And if you want to hear more about that, there was a call. But last week's Thursday call was a good call for that discussion, and then this past Sunday as well. Islam. Anything that we have to do, we have to do it. We can't look at the corporates any longer. We have to do it. We have to manifest it. And when we manifest it the way that we're doing it right now, which is just do it. Don't have to talk about it a whole long time. Let's just get busy doing it. Nothing's going to be, none of the processes are perfect in the beginning, but over time they'll get better. So let's, again, stay connected with one another, stay close. Let that riffraff stay in the gutter down there in the lower regions. In terms of being unified, we need to be unified and stay unified, and focus on our next move. So, banking, the police, the Moorish police, those things, all of that goes hand in hand. The post office, all of it goes hand in hand. Empress Shade, you said something about that before. That's another part of that whole system shutting down. That October 8th and 9th piece, what you just put in the chat.
Why didn't you call me?
I said you were in a
call. That's part of all that we're doing as well. So everything is working the same way that it should. Everything is hand in hand. None of it's disconnected from the other. So, all right, whenever you see Moorish police in your territory, white from head to toe, white cargo pants or white pants. If you have just a regular pair of white pants, any white pants will do, and comfortable shoes so that we can start coming together and doing what we need to do. Islam. With that being said, we'll continue in this vein in terms of the processes and manifesting our estate. So we'll see you on Sunday. Islam. Peace and grand rising to the Moors.
Grand rising. Are there any Moors in Virginia on the call?
Any Moors in Virginia territory?
On the Northern Virginia territory on the call? Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising to the heirs.
Peace and Grand Rising.
Peace and Grand Rising. Cheers.
Paz y amor a toda la gente. Paz y amor.
Peace and Grand Rising. Peace and love.
Access to
Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Islam. Peace and love.
Grand Rising. Love.
There again.
Islam. Love you too. Peace and love.
Grand Rising. Grand Rising. Peace and love.
I think GMO is being chased by the ancestors.
It sounds like it, huh?
Islam.